Are all good things immediately visible as being good? Well, not really right now. Some are, some are not. In the future it will be. But it gives us access, and we'll see what this means for Gimel Tammuz, Yud Beis Tammuz. We'll see in a second. It gives us access to a technique to look things in the face that don't look so obviously good and realize that there's a whole other story going on. And the question is what we can do with that. Welcome to our Pnimi, this is Sarah Tovabes. So, we're in the days between Gimel Tammuz and Yud Beis Tammuz, and it's Parshas Kairach. And these are really powerful days because, of course, the famous story is that the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe there was a sentence of the opposite of life, a death sentence on him from the KGB in 1927, Tafresh Pei Zayin, and there was a huge amount of government pressure from governments all over the world to release him. And on Gimel Tammuz, he was released. So that's good news, right? Well, not so. In a way, for all those governments, they could now go back to other jobs because they had done their job. But for Yidden and for Hasidim, it was pretty scary. You didn't know what to think because, the KGB was notorious for, scurrying people off to a faraway place and, carrying out their diabolical schemes if they wanted to eliminate somebody. Now, they could do it in quiet. They could do it without the world watching them. So Gimel Tammuz, although it meant, temporarily, the Rebbe would live, because there was a sentence on him that he wouldn't live, but the question is for how long? And, what kind of a miracle was this, if at all? And so the sentence on him was 10 years in Kostroma in exile instead of execution. And then it was changed to 3 years. And then he had to report once a week he had to walk to the government office from where he was in exile to report. And when he got there on Yud Beis Tammuz, which was just about 9 days later, he was actually told that he was free to go. Totally miraculous. Beyond miraculous. No explanation why. The government offices were closed that day, so he had to come back the next day on Yud Gimel Tammuz to receive the official papers, and he was free to go. So it became known as Chag HaGeula, the Yom Tov of Geula. And the Friedrich Rebbe said, as we'll discuss next week, I'm not the only one who was redeemed on this day. All Yidden were redeemed. All who cherish Torah and mitzvahs, all who don't even understand to cherish Torah and mitzvahs, they all have their redemption on this day. So, there was the fear taken care of. So Yidden looked back and asked, this unbelievable miracle that really can't be explained through the laws of nature, how it happened, when did it start? And they looked back and they realized it actually started on Gimel Tammuz, when the sentence on his life was changed. So then it became obvious that the essence of Gimel Tammuz was and is the beginning of a geula, and the Rebbe says, it's Chalta de Geula, the beginning of a geula, in a way that it looks like the beginning of a galus. Officially, Yud Beis Tammuz is called Chag HaGeula. Gimel Tammuz is the beginning of this Chag HaGeula. But how does it look when it begins? Terrible. Looks like what's beginning is a greater galus, a greater darkness, a greater tragedy, God forbid. Doesn't look good at all. So that's what Gimel Tammuz is. Not only does the Rebbe speak about it, and Gimel Tammuz is also the day when Yeshua had a great miracle. Yeshua brought the laws of nature under his jurisdiction, under the jurisdiction of the Yidden, as we're conquering Eretz Yisrael, etc. That's for another time. But Gimel Tammuz becomes for eternity a day that is the beginning of the Geula, which means also all personal Geulas, all teeny tiny Geulas. But the way it appears looks like it's the beginning of a greater Galus. Okay. So now we know what it's all about. What do we do with it on an everyday basis? We tend to face a lot of things. Since that since that moment in Tafresh Pei Zayin 1927, when the previous Rebbe said, I am not the only one who was redeemed, all Yidden were redeemed, we have been redeemed. We don't always feel redeemed, but we have been redeemed. A certain Mitzrayim that we were always in throughout all of history has been released. We're out. We have a whole new set of problems, but we're out of that classical major one. So then, how come it feels so bad? So, unfortunately, pretty often we're faced with situations that look like things are about to get worse. Things just seem to get worse. They were okay, and now they just got worse. Oh, boy. And usually, socially, people call this, in literature and all the, fancy English literature, the beginning of the end. But here, the beginning of the end means the end is good. Not, oh, no, it's all over, nothing good will happen. Beginning of the end means beginning of the Geula. So what we're understanding is we can assume that when we find ourselves in situations that feel like, oh, no, it got a lot worse, it'll never work out now. It's the beginning of a much deeper gullus. Oh, Gimel Tammuz comes along to say, it feels like that. In truth, if it feels like that, it most probably is the beginning of a very incredibly out-of-the-box, dynamic, beyond understanding miracle that we're standing right in the middle of it, right at the beginning of, and we just don't have the eyes to detect it, to see it. So that would be a technique that we would use in everyday life. Reframe. Oh boy, it feels terrible. Aha. Oh, I see. This must be the beginning of an incredible miracle. It can change a lot. It doesn't change everything, but it can change a lot because the knowledge that it isn't that darkness that it seems, it looks like it, but it's not, can really transform everything. And the truth is, how we call it will often determine how it's going to go. So we stand in an incredible moment, and in these days between Gimel and Yud Beis Tammuz, we stand in these days when we can literally tune into that energy in everything in life, realizing, doesn't feel so good right now. Aha! This must be the beginning of a great Geula, a piece of the ultimate Geula. May we find ourselves in that ultimate Geula right now, this Shabbos, Parshas Kairach, and find ourselves in the base of Mezuzah Shlishi.